THFC says, Man United switched managers and didn't change anything for them. Players and ownerships matter. Do you think, when you look at Amorim at the moment, like how he's failing, well, not fail. Look, he's losing every game at the moment. It's not great. And look, there are circumstances to it, but how do you assess that situation when you compare it to maybe to us in terms of they've changed their manager, Ten Hag wasn't doing well, and now they're dropping it, and they've probably got worse, you would say.
Definitely, they've definitely got worse. They're like closing in on the relegation spots at the moment. Look, I do think it's a different situation, but look, it can be comparable, and I'm surprised how bad Amorim has done. I really am very surprised, because you've seen situations where managers come in mid-season and there's a big uptick. You've seen other situations like this where there's a new manager and it goes in the opposite direction. You're looking at Man United's squad, and for the amount of money that they've spent and the wages that they're spending, it's actually shockingly bad, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, but also it's a bad squad, but they've got everyone available as well. Like, surely, I know. Look, I guess the reality is with changing managers like this in mid-season, you're playing every 3 days. And especially when you got Amorim, who's implementing a completely new system, right? Then it's going to be very hard to implement that with such little time on the training pitch. He's basically using games as training matches at the moment, which is, I guess, the perils of when you appoint a manager mid-season. That's a risk you're taking. And I think, look, I'm not saying it's exactly the same. Obviously, Ten Hag, I'm not saying it was the wrong decision to sack him per se. It might have been, in hindsight, maybe they should have waited till the end of the season. They wouldn't be in this position. But, it could always get worse, I guess, is the reality.
Well, look, I think Man United is such a poorly run club. This change should have happened in the summer. It should have happened in the summer. And you've got a team that's had Ten Hag for the last couple of years, and they've won trophies even in the last couple of years. They won the FA Cup last year, the League Cup the year before. And I just don't understand why they didn't bring him in the summer if they're going to bring him in. Apparently, the word from the hierarchy because there was talking about sacking Ten Hag earlier than they did, and the word from the hierarchy is that the players in the squad don't fit an Amorim system, so that's why we're not going to bring in Amorim right now. And then a few months later, they've sacked Ten Hag and brought in Amorim.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? But yeah, you're not worried about anything that happened like that if we do get rid of Ange mid-season? Is there anything that's possible?
Well, look, like I said before, you need a plan and you need to bring in the right guy. I think if you do bring in the right guy that plays the right system that fits the players, then that shouldn't happen.
All right, BSA Arkley says, Ange gets criticised whatever he does. That was a quote. He says, yes, Sim, because he's the manager. No good us criticising the hot dog vendor. Ange also gets applauded when we are winning. You see how that works. That wasn't my point. My point is, I guess that's because I was arguing that, people have been calling for him to be a bit more conservative or pragmatic, I guess, in games. And then we did drop a lot deeper against Wolves, and we still conceded a goal, and people still criticising him, even though we were probably a bit more pragmatic in that game. That was my point. Obviously, he's always going to get criticised when you don't get the results. That's the reality. But I'm just saying, I don't understand why you can't say he needs to be more pragmatic, and then when we are a bit more pragmatic, you then criticise him for sitting back too much. I think it's a bit, you got to say, oh, look, at least he tried sitting back, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. But if that's what you're calling for, and we try it, like, why criticise him on that?
Yeah, which is a fair point, but again, like, I don't think it was down to Ange's instruction why we sat back. Like, I don't think that would have been down to him. And I think when you're looking at, I think, who came out and spoke about it after the game?
Decky said it.
Yeah, Decky said it. And it's like, it's not like Decky was saying it was the manager's instruction. He's like, the team dropped far too back and we were trying to protect the lead. That was nothing to do with the manager. That was, just something that happened on the pitch due to the players. I don't think that was the manager's instruction.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't think Ange probably ever wants to sit back, to be honest. But I'm saying we did do it, right? And it didn't exactly work out the one we did do it. So I don't, who knows if it's the right thing to do.
But we had the chances to finish off that game.
We did.
If we put it in the back of the net and whilst the team had dropped back, then we're saying it did work.
Yeah, true. But but also, did that for the last 5 minutes, did we invite too much pressure on us, maybe? You could argue that as well.
Yeah.
John Boy says Sim. Wait, sorry, is that the right one? Yeah. Sim rattles on far too much and makes excuses all over the place. Archie Gray's a
Story of my life, mate.
Archie Gray is a centre mid and not a centre back. So why are we not playing an 18-year-old centre back at centre back? I'm guessing you're saying Alfie Dorrington. Look, the reality is, Alfie Dorrington had a serious injury last season. He's also only ever played PL2 football. Archie Gray has played Championship football regularly. He's obviously played in pre-season at centre-back as well. He's clearly way ahead of Dorrington, and Ange believes he's more likely to get performances out of Archie Gray than Dorrington. Archie Gray is more ready in terms of physically as well, probably, it seems, for Premier League football than Dorrington. And look, if that's what you want to criticise him for, fair enough. We don't know how well it would have been if Dorrington was there, but at the end of the day, I don't think we get much better results with Dorrington there, to be honest, rather than Archie Gray.
Yeah, it's hard to assess this one because obviously we haven't seen Dorrington play at this level or anywhere close to this level. So as much as we all want to see him play, because he's got massive plaudits over the last couple of years for his PL2 campaigns. But yeah, you're right. He did have a couple of major injuries last season, which limited his game time and probably stagnated his progress quite a bit. We saw him come on in that Southampton game for the last couple of minutes, looked fairly comfortable for the most part. I would like to see him get minutes, but look, we're not the ones that see him on the training ground. We don't know the situation with him completely, so it's hard to criticise too much on that situation.
All right. Samuel Skinner 4527 says, I used to value Sim's Tottenham opinions more than any other person. Now he's a delusional as Ty from AFTV.
So I keep saying the Tottenham tie.
You're going to will it into existence, that comparison. I don't see the comparison, me personally, but each to their own.
All you're missing is the headphones, and that's
Just the headphones, the Tottenham gear. I don't buy anything from the club shop, so I don't know if even that from a starting point. I got no club merch at the moment.
Someone donate this guy some headphones, some Tottenham headphones.
I'll take him. Mervang Genius says 7 wins in 19 games isn't a good stat line. Why he keeps saying we won 7 games like it's positive? The point, I'm not saying it's good that we've only won 7 games. My point is we were winning games, right? Wins don't grow on trees. Wins are hard to come by, especially in the circumstances we're in. My point being, before this injury crisis, we had won 7 games. We were winning games, well, 6, I think, other than Southampton. We were winning games of football, right? Whether it would be consistent or not, we were getting wins fairly often. We'll probably have 1 loss and 1 whatever.
But still, before the injury crisis, the win ratio still wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but it was enough to keep us in the fight for European football. Right, it was enough to see us in that mix. Now we're not winning any games.
Yeah, but come on, from last season to this season, you're supposed to kick on. You're not supposed to stagnate. And I think we weren't showing. We showed a few signs of progression in a few certain games. And I think we started the season well in terms of the way we play our game. But you're looking at a season that was very up and down from a lot of clubs, right? Mm-hmm. We were in the second season of Ange Postecoglou, and we're supposed to be kicking on, so we should be going past that, and we should be taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, and we haven't. Clearly, other teams have gotten better. Also, maybe definitely in hindsight, the summer that we had, we didn't do, especially with the injuries, but even without the injuries, we didn't do anywhere near enough to improve the team. And I think even Ange has probably admitted that now. He's saying we need more experience, and I think that's maybe a bit of an admission from him that maybe he got the summer wrong.
It's ridiculous that he couldn't see that in the summer if he didn't. It's ridiculous, is it not?
Maybe, but look, he's seeing it now. Look, is it
not ridiculous that he didn't see it in the summer? We all saw it. We all saw it that Timo Werner's not good enough as well.
I agree with that.
With that, not having a left back in the European, all these things added on, I think it's all complete mismanagement.
Maybe underestimated how strong all these teams are.
Do you not think it's just complete mismanagement though?
Mismanagement of what? Of the
squad?
I mean, yeah, definitely. We've got gaping holes which are being exposed. We didn't improve enough where we needed to improve, which was definitely on the wing. Well, that was a big area we needed improvement, and we didn't get a first class winger, which we desperately needed. We can see that. I think that was obviously my biggest gripes of the summer, was definitely not getting a left back or a left centre back or left back or a winger. Those were the 2 things I really need. Obviously, we also need a 6 and all those type of things. But I felt like the midfield, It's not perfect, and it will need upgrading on, but you can kind of deal with that. That's not a complete necessity for now, as long as you get these other things that I think are definitely complete necessities right now, in terms of we are completely like. My point being, are Bentancur and Basuma like top 5, top 6 players? Yes. Are Werner and yeah, but they are, in my opinion, anyway.
They're not players that are going to take us on to the next level, are they?
Okay, but my point is, are they top 5, top 6 players? I think they are, right? Are our backups for Van de Ven and Udogie and our wingers top 6? No, probably not, especially Werner. So that's why they need massive upgrading, like is it in terms of importance. But anyway,
in my opinion, just massive mismanagement of the squad. The thing that Ange Postecoglou was banging on about at the back end of last season was, we need more options in the forward line. We bring in Odegaard and we bring in Solanke and we bring in Timo Werner. That's not additions that you're going to say is really going to catapult us into the next level.
Maybe he thought, which he has made an impact, but maybe he thought Solanke's impact would be more than it has been. And look, he's obviously very much improved the forward line in terms of the striker position. He's been a massive upgrade, or a big upgrade, I should say. But first of all, he's probably been overplayed as well at the moment because Richarlison's been injured. And definitely, he's maybe underestimated how much we desperately needed a winger. I think he knew we needed one, but I think he was willing to go with Timo Werner for a season with maybe growing Odegaard, growing these Mikey Moore, growing Yamin Hook, and that was his thinking process. But it's hurting us too much in the moment, and we need more quality right now, and that's the reality. But I'm saying we won 7 games. But right now, we're not winning any games, and those 7 wins that we got, or whatever the wins that we have, I don't take them for granted. Those are wins that we've earned those wins, and they're not hard. They're not easy to come by, especially in the league right now. And my point was, we were winning games of football, and now the reason we're not winning any games is not because in my opinion, because of the coaching, not because of how he plays his football. It's because of the situation we're in. I think that's now why we're not. But
also, you focus on these wins, but you gloss over the bad losses and the bad performances that we've had.
I don't gloss over them. I don't gloss over them at all. I understand we've had bad results as well, and those are frustrating, and those are things that aren't good enough as well. I get that, right? But we were still getting wins on the board as well.
But when you're doing your analysis, you don't mention it. You just mention the wins and talk about the positive stuff, positive side.
It's not true. I've said many times we have picked up results that that were not good enough and we're embarrassing. And that's, we're still a young team and maybe we've still got a lot of learning to do. That's definitely true, 100%. But we were still winning games. That's also my point. You can't also gloss over that I think we would have continued to win some games if it wasn't for this massive crisis that we're in. Matthew Muir 9259. Pretty sure Ben was in support of a rebuild and claimed he wanted to stick it out like Arsenal did with Arteta, even though he got 8th in his first 2 seasons. The problem isn't Ange, it's not even Levy, it's our fan base. We need to come to terms with who we are and what we actually want to achieve. Firing Ange will only set us back further. The man has had half his starting squad out for over a month, and we are that ready to throw it all away. Let's see the project through. Still in 4 competitions, in a semi, and only 6 points out of Europe's spot. Give the guy a chance.
100%. I did say all those things. I still stand by those things, but I can't back something. Well, I am going to back it because, like I said before on the stream before, I did say that regardless if I want Ange in or out, I'm still a supporter of this football club. And when I get into that stadium, I'm still going to support him. I'm still going to sing his name. It's not like I hate him or anything. I really like the guy. I wish it was to work, and I wish that he does prove me wrong. That's the reality. But what I believe from what I've seen over a long stretch of time, I don't think he's good enough for the role. And that's why I wouldn't mind if I was to see him sacked. And I am in the Ange out camp. That's where I sit right now. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to support him through it. Like, I will support him through it, and I'm dying for him to prove me wrong.
Okay. Oz Singer Spur says, after 12 games, we were getting 1.67 points per game. If we didn't get the injuries and continued to achieve that ratio of points per game, we would be on 30 points now. That would give us 6th and only 1 point off 5th and 5 points off 4th. Ben ignores the injuries and suspensions, but we are playing without a goalkeeper, key defenders. Bentancur hardly played, and then we had more Odegaard and Richarlison all missing completely. Missing half your players has to have a massive impact, right? Ben is a typical Spurs fan who can't stomach a rebuild and can't look objectively at the reality of suspensions and injuries in an already thin squad. I believe we are three foreign players short of a full squad.
Okay, so how do you give excuses for, and how do you back up that Spurs, only 2 teams have lost more than us over the last 12 months in this whole Premier League? Only 2. How is that ever going to be good enough? And this is, you know, you've got a large chunk of that where we don't have any injuries, or we've only got a few injuries. Yes, I understand the situation that we're going through right now, and it's going to be hard for even a Pep Guardiola or, you know, whoever, Alex Ferguson, to manage Spurs through this period and get consistent results. I completely agree with that. But I saw worrying signs, and I was saying it, even before the injury crisis, that I'm seeing worrying signs, and I'm seeing regression in the performance, and I'm seeing regression in a lot of results that we should be getting. I think that he should be managing things better, and I feel a lot of the injuries are down to him as well. So as much as you're right in what you're saying, you know, we are going through a really bad time and a really... Huh?
He's on to us, Singer Spur, not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
As much as you're right in saying that, you know, we are going through a really hard time and it's hard for anyone to manoeuvre through it, I just feel like the warning signs and the worrying signs were there beforehand anyway.
So you're saying that he's saying after 12 games, right, when we had a fairly fit squad, we had 1.67 points per game, right?
Yeah.
You said, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that even if we carried on that form, you would still want him sacked.
Well, in terms of everything involved, not just points per game, but performances, losing to teams that we were losing to.
If we're on 30 points now, you would want him sacked.
Where would that leave us?
In, like he said, it would leave us in 6th, 1 point off 5th, and 5 points off 4th.
But I never thought that was going to carry on. What you're saying, just like...
So you're thinking, regardless of injuries, we're always going to have this form?
Not this exact form, but I think we were going to have a massive drop-off, yeah. Because I think that drop-off was coming. And I said it.
A massive drop-off from 1.67?
I said it because, do you not remember we did that video? That prediction video of how many points we think we're going to get, and that was before the injury crisis.
Right, but
how many points did I say we're going to get? I was right in the first 5 games, wasn't I? And it looks like I'm on course to be right for the second 5 games as well.
Probably less, but
exactly.
Yeah,
so,
but
that was my prediction before injuries.
Right, and it was just after the Ipswich game. But you don't think the situation has any impact on that?
Injuries do have impact on it, but from what I was seeing on the pitch, obviously, I thought we were going in a downward trajectory. And
it's easy to say that after we lost a bad game to Ipswich.
Yeah, but that was a few bad games in there. It wasn't just Ipswich. There were worrying signs throughout there. There was a whole heap of worrying signs at the back end of last season as well.
But even in this injury crisis that we're on, we're only losing games, most of the games anyway, by the odd goal. We're not getting battered, apart from the Liverpool game, and obviously we probably should have lost more against Bournemouth. But other than that, we're not losing games by big margins or anything. We're not getting battered. It's very close games.
But there are games in there where we could have conceded more, where we didn't. You know, we've been through it.
Probably been battered.
Fulham,
they dominated, but look, they in terms of clear opportunities, you know, they should have won the game, but they didn't, and the only goal they scored was from like a 25-yarder. Like, I'm just saying, my point is, look, the Liverpool game and the Bournemouth game,
we were so lucky to get out with a point in that game.
Okay, we got, but whatever. Even that game, we probably could have lost by a goal or whatever. But in a lot of the other games, it's been very tight margins, been fine. Like the Forest game, very fine margins. Wolves game, we probably should have won that game. I can't remember who else we played. Obviously, Chelsea, we ended up losing 4-3. But again, there was actually fine margins in that game as well, why we lost that game. You know, can you not see maybe if one didn't have all these injuries and suspension, all these problems, that maybe those fine margins would have maybe gone in our favour in some of them?
I'm not so sure they would have. I'm really not so sure they would have.
Fair enough. Okay, user saw, I don't know, user something 7428 says, Ben is unbearable. absolute sunshine fan, shaking my head. Sim explained the situation we're in perfectly. Ben refuses to listen to any reason. Ben epitomizes the problem with the club. Would have unsubscribed if it were not for Sim keeping this channel from becoming a toxic cesspool.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. If that's your opinion of me, then thanks for watching.
Marpop99. Let me get this right. Ben wants us to go forward and kill the game off. Also wants us to sit back and protect the lead.
I just want us to play good football and to win games and not put in these stinkers that we're putting in and not have tactical flaws like we do. Because I feel like you have managers that can be attacking and high pressing and intense, but you don't have those managers. You don't see them like completely with gaping holes on the right and left back every single week throughout the whole game. Like, I feel like teams can target us, and they target us in specific areas on the pitch with or without injuries, and we just have gaping holes. I feel like other
Doesn't
teams...
every system have flaws, though?
But you look at the team, like Pochettino's team, right? We were intense, we were high pressing, we were attacking, yet we had one of the best defenses in the league over a 2-year period. We were like incredible. We were incredible. Like Ange Postecoglou and his frailties, you can target specific areas on the pitch, whether it be right back, left back, and you know you're going to get in there time and time again. Back post. How many times do we concede goals at the back post? It's ridiculous. You play a deep cross into the back post, you know you're going to have two men free.
But every system has give and take.
Yeah, but
right?
that is too much, man.
Yeah, but again, before the injury crisis, we weren't conceding that many goals. It was 15 and 15 from when Vicario was in goal this season. We were one of the lowest when it came to like shots on target against us and stuff like that. It was very low. Like I'm not saying we were perfect as well. We did concede some sloppy goals, and we were opened up sometimes as well. But in terms of what the numbers were saying, we actually weren't that exposed too much before all these defensive injuries came.
Look, I feel like it wasn't as kind of, upright as what the stats are showing, because I do feel like in a lot of these games that we did come under pressure a lot, and if teams target us in the right areas, they can get in. It's just as simple as that.
So you think the fact that we've conceded 25 in 13 with Forster and these other defenders is nothing to do with who's playing, it's to do with the system? Instead of 15 when Vicario was there in the same game?
No, obviously we concede more because of our defenders and our goalkeeper being out. Obviously we concede more and we concede more chances, but it's still, I don't think it was good enough on a general basis. Antoine's Cow 9076 saying, I don't think I talk only for myself when I say that if Ange is sacked, I'm going to be more disconnected to this club than I've ever been. Clearly the club has been supporting Ange's vision and have been willing to go through this rebuild, a new project, but as always, first sign of trouble when he's out. I just can't go through another cycle of this. I think that will be the end for me. This isn't the first sign of trouble, though. This isn't the first sign of trouble. Apart from the first 10 games last season, we never showed a consistent run. The back end of last season was shocking. It really was shocking from a results and performance level. We started the season, a bit better, a bit more fresh this year. And then again, after the Brighton game, the worrying signs and the worrying performances started to creep in again. And the injuries came, and now we can't buy a win. So I think this isn't the first sign of trouble. I would probably say it's a second sign of trouble. But still, is that enough to sack a manager who you've invested a project into midway through a season? It depends, like, if you think he's the right guy or not. I just don't think he's the right guy. Cowing8140 says, Ben represents a majority of the fan base who claim supporting a rebuild, but deep down just want instant success. They cannot even tolerate losing games during the process. I can tolerate losing games, just not very well. Look, I understand that we need a rebuild, and I understand it, but you're looking at the players that we have and the results that we're getting again, and the results that we're getting them against. It's not good enough. Like, we should not be. We should be beating a lot more teams than we are, and we should never be third most losses in the Premier League out of these 20 teams. Look at some of the teams that are in this league, We should never be there. But can't he sort it out? I don't know if he can. But you're not saying you don't know. You're saying you don't think he can. I don't think he can. No. Yeah. Why not? It's only 18 months. Can't he learn? Because
give him
by
time
this
to-
point it should be a lot better.
Why?
It should be a lot better.
It's his first job in a major European league. Maybe he's
Supposed to be an
taking his
experienced guy.
He is an experienced guy in other leagues. Maybe he's underestimated. Well, I don't know if he underestimated it, but maybe he's still learning in this league what it takes to what's.
Well, if he's still learning, he's learning very, very slowly, isn't he? Extremely slowly. So how much longer are we supposed to put up with the up and down nature of what we're trying to do?
Another 6 months.
Another 6 months.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then we part ways at the end of the season if it doesn't work.
But we got such a good opportunity, and I think sticking with it is just throwing a good opportunity down the window.
Sticking with Ange is throwing a good opportunity.
I think so, yeah.
In what sense?
Because we're in a good opportunity. Semi-final of the Cup, the FA Cup still to come, Europa League, we're one of the favourites in the tournament. And I just feel like playing the way we are, with the key frailties that we do have, I just can't see us getting over the line in these tournaments. And I feel like another manager can maybe come in and do it. Not saying they will.
But we've already gone down this road with this line with the project. You think another manager comes
Maybe
in?
we just got it wrong. Maybe we have just got it wrong.
Yeah, but we don't know that for sure.
I mean, judging by the results, it's definitely suggesting that.
But until you've got to give him the chance. Like, we got
He's
to give
had
him
the
the
chance.
chance. No, has he? Has he had the chance in Europa League and knockouts? Do we know how we would do? Has he had the chance? Like, has he?
He has had the chance.
Has he had the chance in the semi-final yet in the League Cup? Like, he hasn't had the chance. What chance has he had? You got to give him the opportunity to fail before you get rid of him.
He's had half a season now, and it's been pretty much, apart from 2 or 3 games, poor.
I mean, I think that's harsh, 2 or 3 games. But what I would say is, as you said, before the injury crisis, it wasn't the points per game would have put us in a position where you wouldn't be calling for his head right now.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this injury crisis, now you are calling him for his head. So you're judging him on the results pretty much that we got.
But also,
during
I
this
was
period.
majorly questioning him before the injury crisis.
Yeah, but you haven't taken. I don't think you've taken it into account. You were questioning him, but now you're ready to throw him away due to this injury crisis. You're willing to throw him away.
But like I said, I was majorly questioning it before,
Yeah.
and I made a prediction before the injury crisis, and I said we'd get a very low amount of points in this 10-game period. And injuries or no injuries, we have got those very low points.
Yeah, I mean, but to think that.
And that was my prediction before the injuries.
Yeah, but to think that these injuries haven't
I never
had
said that.
impact.
I said they have had an impact. You've asked me 2 or 3 times
I
in
know,
this
but
stream,
you're acting
and
like
I've
they
said,
haven't.
but I've told you they have.
Yeah, but you're acting like they haven't.
How am I acting like that?
Because you want to go sack him based on these injuries. Based on the results we're getting through this injury crisis.
But it's also results prior to the injuries and the back end of last season. It's a whole heap of problems. It's not just these last 5 games.
But my point is, you weren't ready to sack him before the injuries, and now you are, due to the results we've gotten during these injury crises.
I think it's a whole heap of everything. I don't think it's just about these injury crises, because I was majorly questioning him before the injuries.
All right, well, that's all the comments.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is us reacting to the comments. Let us know in the comment section below. We've got a couple of super chats to get through before we